London is no stranger to the fog, but rather than roll in, this mist seemed to rise, thick and slow, devouring the dark alleys of Whitechapel from the bottom up. Whitechapel Dark Mist, a Cthulhu by Gaslight mystery.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Percentile Vice Whitechapel Dark Mist, our Victorian England Cthulhu by Gaslight adventure. We've got our two investigators with us, Emily, who's playing Rosalie Harper.
Yes.
And John, who's playing Joe Carter. So, who would like to give us a recap of what happened last week?
I can.
Go for it. Don't screw it up.
So, last week we opened up with Rosalie and Livvy standing by the body of Thomas Blanton as Joe walked up, having been called by Reginald Probst as a professional courtesy as an agent that works closely with the Speedwagon Imports Co. And a funny thing about this body, the insides seem to be blown out rather than cut open or anything like that. As time went on, Livvy got taken to the station. Rosalie noticed a skittering, looked like a maggot with 8 legs. A grub, I believe you called it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we split up a bit, and Rosalie, I almost said went to the cat house, but went to the brothel.
The cat house.
Went to the brothel and had a little interaction with the matron, and found out not a whole lot, but basically they were going to try to legally get Livvy out, but no relevant information to the case other than she and Thomas had been seeing each other. They had had a fight. He went missing. That was, if I recall correctly, the gist.
Mm-hmm.
Joe went to visit the widow Blanton, who doesn't know she's a widow yet. And
because Joe just decided not to tell her. Not his department, above his pay grade.
Not his department, and with those darling children there, he figured he might let somebody with more professional training in that area take that over. Basically found out that he was a little bit of a deadbeat, spent more time at the pub with his kids than with his kids. Didn't take his kids to the pub.
Might have, who knows?
I know.
He liked to hang out at the Rambling Goat pub. And afterwards, we met up at the Lion pub.
Copper
Lion. And ended up going to the Rambling Goat and interviewed a friend of Thomas's there. Didn't get too much useful information off that. Just, he's one of the guys. He'd been missing a while. He had been seeing Livvy. And afterward, as we were headed back to call it a night, nope, before that, there was a fight.
At the Copper Lion with Jacko, the guy who lived on the street where you first found the body.
And we saw the fog swallow him up and leave nothing. And then we went to the Rambling Goat. And then we went home, and Rosalie saw the fog creeping up on her apartment menacingly and asked to stay with Joe for the night at his office apartment.
And so you guys took a back alley and started heading towards your office/abode, and the fog turned the corner and started coming down that alleyway towards you when we ended last time. And the fog just did what fog does. It kind of trailed into that alleyway a little bit, but nothing menacingly. You made it back to your apartment, your office, and spent an uneventful night, unless you guys wanted to have any discussions prior to hitting the bed and the couch.
So what do you think, Rosalie? What's going through your head right now?
I'm very concerned about the fog. I understand that you don't believe me, but I'm telling you, I saw that guy Jacko get swallowed by it. That's not a man stumbling into fog. That is fog snatching a man up. But what's bothering me is that this is the 4th or 5th man who's gone missing. So I'm wondering if maybe we ought to look into who else is missing and see if there's a common link between them in some way. Do you think you'd be able to find out from the police, the local police, about who else has gone missing? Because I tried to ask and wasn't able to come up with anything.
Possibly. We could also try having a little chat with Livvy. Not anything too pressing, not go full interrogation mode on her, but see if she knows anything that might be helpful.
Agreed. Maybe we can find out what happened just before he went missing 4 weeks ago and what he was like when she met up with him this evening. I think that's probably our best course of action in trying to exonify Livvy in all of this. And find the men, because that's also important.
The night passes, a new day dawns. The clouds have parted. There's actually a little sun coming through. Mist fog has cleared. It's a pretty nice day so far, early in the morning.
We'll head up to the police station, and I'll make a beeline for Reginald Probst.
Okay. So you get to the police station, and it's relatively easy to find Reginald Probst. You probably have to ask a desk sergeant, and Probst is happy to see you. You'll never need that one. So, hello. So, ready to share some information?
Yeah, good day, Reggie. We haven't found too much. Miss Rosalie and I have been working together a little bit. She has some connections to the other side of things, and well, Rosalie seems to think that the fog swallowed up a guy during a fight. We both saw it. I mean, it looked like he just disappeared into the fog, but you know how it is when people get in a fight. Eventually one of them will go down or try to run away. I figured he just ran away, but she sees it a little differently.
Wait, there's another missing man?
Yeah, his name was Jacko, I believe.
Might be worth checking up on whether or not he ever made it home, if you've got an officer out and about today.
He lived right near where we found that young man. A house nearly overlooking the scene.
All right. I'll send one of the uniforms.
We were wondering
check on that.
If we might be able to look at some case files on the other missing people. See if we can see any common threads, or if anything might jog the memory of myself or Miss Rosalie here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when you mention the theory of the fog snatching people up, he kind of nervously looks around and then, gives you the nod, the follow me nod, and walks you back into, kind of an open area, probably a detective's area, and there's a board up against the wall, and on that board are 4 names, some details underneath them, and a red ink mark through the name Thomas Blanton, but 3 other names. He says, "Yes, I've been working for 4 of these missing persons. The first one missing was 4 weeks ago, Thomas Blanton, and over the course of the 4 weeks, these other 3 gentlemen have been reported missing. All men. Scott Woodrow, Philip Bradford, and Weasel Pike. Yes, well, the other 2 were workers. Weasel appears to be something of a vagrant, having a hard time figuring out whether Weasel was a nickname or was actually his given name. Nobody can actually verify that for us. All we have to go on is Weasel Pike.
Where did they work?
Woodrow was a factory worker. He worked at the match factory down near the docks, maybe a street or 2 up from the docks. And Bradford was a clerk, working books and accounting for one of the shops up along Whitechapel Road. In fact, it was he was a bookkeeper at. So he goes up to the board and he looks. He's like, yes, the Curiosities and Collectibles, small shop of oddities on Whitechapel.
Do you have anything you wanted to ask, Miss Rosalie?
Sorry, I was trying to take notes. So how far apart were these people taken?
Let's see, about a quarter of a mile.
I meant in time, sir.
Okay, well, let me know when you're ready for an answer.
I'm ready.
Oh, so it's been in time?
I'm just trying to take my notes.
Sorry. First one was 4 weeks ago. Scott Woodrow a couple of days after that. About a week later, Philip Bradford and Weasel Pike was about a week ago.
So Blanton was the first.
Yes. By the reports. Yep. Wendy Blanton reported Thomas missing. Scott Woodrow was reported missing by his boss at the match factory. Bradford was reported missing by his boss, Willem Green, at the Curiosity Shop. And Weasel Pike was reported missing by one of our uniformed patrolmen who were used to seeing Weasel at certain locations throughout Whitechapel. Noticed he hadn't been there for a couple of days, started asking around, and nobody had seen him. We added him to the board. Could be Weasel's just gone off weaseling.
Joe's going to take a minute and have a little think and try to see if in his mind, knowing Speedwagon Imports pretty well, having worked for them a lot, if Speedwagon Imports, the Match Factory, and the Curiosity Store are somehow related.
It seems random.
Okay.
The only possible relation between the Match Factory and the Speedwagon Imports is their proximity to the docks. That Match Factory is down there close to the water, but not all the way into the dock district, but kind of abutting it.
Sergeant, do you by chance have a map of Whitechapel? Yeah.
Sure.
So can you maybe point out?
There's one on the wall.
Do they have like those little push pins, that they do like in maps?
Let's say they do.
Okay. Do you mind like pointing out to us where these people were last seen? Like, are the areas in which we believe that they may have gone missing from?
Is the cluster denoting the disappearances all centered around the Copper Line?
No.
No.
So They are all in the Whitechapel district. But there doesn't appear to be a pattern. And if you added a pin for Jacko, who he has is not even tracking as a case right now, it would appear pretty random.
Can I take like a bit of string and like kind of loop them around to see if like it connects in any way? Not necessarily locally, but like, you know what I mean? Like makes like a...
It looks like a great piece of string wall art.
Okay, just checking. Right. So it seems as though they're going missing like one a week at this point, give or take a couple days.
A couple days between the first one and the second one. About a week between the second and the third.
All right.
Something short of a week, maybe 5 days between the third and the fourth. And if Jacko is indeed another one of these, then that would have put it at another 4 or 5 day interval.
Have you questioned the young lady that you brought in after finding the body yet?
We've made preliminary discussions with her. She is still being held. She is sticking to the story that she did know the man. It was a client of hers. And other than that, she was refusing to answer most questions.
She may loosen up a bit if you, by chance, allow us to go have a little conversation with her and see if maybe with her friend here, she's a little more talkative rather than talking to an officer.
It's a little out of the ordinary.
I could roll a persuade.
Sure, give me a persuade roll. You guys remember to mark the successful usage of skills?
Yeah.
That is...
Oh.
Spend it.
1 away, and I will spend the 1 luck to make that 16 of 15, which is a hard success.
Nice.
Okay, for a hard success, then I'm going to insist that you go in there with her. And there's an association between the work that I do and the work that you do, and we have a bit of a working relationship, and I need to rely upon you to convey whatever information is gleaned in there to me, knowing the kind of things that we look for.
Of course.
So, yes, you can. Before you go in there, you notice, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Give me notice rolls. Let's make this fun.
You mean rolling
Spot hidden
dice?
or listen?
Jesus, we have to stop playing different games. That's all I have to say. Spot hidden.
89.
27, which is a hard success.
You notice on the big chalkboard where he's got the 4 names of the missing people, and there's like little bulleted information under each one, like the name of the person that reported this person missing, and under every one of them is a notation like fog ? Like indented under somebody's name, some witness's name or whatever. So, which probably explains why when you mentioned fog out in the lobby, he's like, come back here, because it's just weird and doesn't fit into his theory of the case right now, but he keeps hearing it.
Right.
So you notice that he, if his board is to be believed, then witnesses are telling the same kind of story you have about the fog taking.
So we're going to head in to
Talk to Livvy.
talk to Livvy.
All right, so you guys walk into a little room, no windows, 1 metal table, a few metal chairs, and he asks you to wait there, and then he goes to get Livvy from her holding cell. And a little time passes, and in comes Livvy. shaken and scared and the worse for wear of a night in lockup. And he steps out of the room, closes the door, realizing that his presence there would probably tie her tongue. So,
Livvy, are you all right?
Livvy is looking really small, right? Sunk in on herself. It was very cold last night.
So
I did what you said. I haven't said nothing. I just what they already knew because I blurted it on the street. But he was one of me Joes. But I'm sorry, he's one of me Johns. Oh, I'm sorry. But that's all I said. I didn't say anything else.
So I'm gonna kind of like put an arm around her and lead her to a chair, and I'm sure I have like one of those like coat jacket things on, and put it on her. Well, good job, Livvy. So what we need to know is I need to talk to you about what happened and your relationship to Thomas, because the only way
her eyes dart over to Joe Carter and says, "I can talk now."
You can't. Mr. Carter's trying to help. He's trying to help. He believes that you don't fit the bill for the person who would have done this, and he's trying to help us figure out what really happened. I trust him.
Well, I've been going over it and over it in my mind all night. Nothing to do in here but think. And we're like this. So, Thomas comes to see me, and we have, a date. And I start talking to him about things he's been talking to me about, how we was gonna, go off and make a life for ourselves together, and I won't have to work in this business, and he won't have that awful wife of his. And he starts telling me that he's figured everything out. He's been shown. He's seeing things. He knows it all now. All of the secrets and all of the mysteries. And that he's going off, and he's going off by himself without me. So we start arguing on the street there, because we said we was going to go together, and he's like, the mysteries of the universe is his to explore, and he's going to do it. And so off he goes, and I stand there and I cry him for a little bit, and then I think, oh, hell no, he's not going to treat me like this. We had an agreement, right? So I go running off after him, and he, I turn a corner, and there he is. He's laying on the floor, on the ground. His stomach is just burst open, and he's laying there, and there's not a thing inside of him. And I run over to him, and I lean down, and I pick him up, and I try to hug him to me, to just come back to me, Thomas. And well, that's how the blood got on me dress. And I sit there and I cry for a minute, and I lay his torso back down, and I notice this awful bugs on me. I screamed, I did, and then once I screamed, I figured, well, people are going to be looking out the house now, and they're going to see me, so no sense running off. I better go run get the coppers and tell them what happened, because it's the best way, right?
I'd like to roll a psychology and see if she's telling the whole truth here.
Put some psychology in your pipe and smoke it.
08. That is a extreme success.
You see nothing but sincerity and fright on her face.
Okay.
Livvy, did he mention how he knew it all, or had been shown it all, like where he'd been the last several weeks?
He kept making them statements, but I couldn't get an explanation out of him for nothing.
Did he possibly mention a book or any sort of weird things that might have sounded like gobbledygook to you?
Gobbledygook?
He said he was talking. He said the word bargain a lot. Well, he made a bargain, and now he knows everything, and he has access to all the wonders of the universe, and he's been seeing them. He's been going places. It was crazy talk. It was.
Did he mention anything about fog?
Yeah.
Did he mention particular places, or was it just he's going places?
I won't say you think I'm crazy.
Livvy, honey, you know, we're with you right up, you know, here where we've talked about bugs exploding out of his body. I think we can handle a little more.
Other worlds. He said he'd been to other worlds and other dimensions, wherever the fuck they is. It was crazy. He had this crazy look in his face. And Thomas Arnold wasn't there anymore.
Before he went missing, in the time leading up to it, did he mention anything about any friends or new people or...
Oh, I asked him what he's been doing for all these weeks. And he come to see me after we made all our grand plans. And he couldn't get a straight answer out of him for nothing. It was just all about the bargain. And look what he got. He knows everything. He's seen everything. And he's off to see some more.
But before he went missing, did he mention new people that he'd met or anyone, you know, that he may have come into contact with that may have been part of him being, you know, disappearing or...
No, he's my sweet Thomas then. And then he went missing. 3.5 weeks later, coming back, and he's a crazy man.
Okay. Livvy, we're working hard to get you out of here. I need you to stay strong and be cooperative, but be quiet. Mr. Joe is going to keep working at trying to get you out. We might come back and see you, but if you think of anything else, have one of the officers ring for Mr. Joe Carter. Think of anything that might be helpful at all.
Well, I certainly hope you're here to help me, Mr. Carter, because you look like one of them Torino toughs.
I am with Torino, but I have an interest in finding the truth in this case, and I don't believe that you are the truth in this case, so I feel like they should let you go, and I'm gonna keep working until that outcome is what happens.
Well, I'm gonna trust you because Rosalie trusts you. Okay, so I'll be going. You don't think they're gonna let me out of here today?
I don't know. We're going to talk to the sergeant, but I don't know.
I'm so tired. I was up most of the night. I'm afraid if I go back to the cell, I'm going to fall asleep again and have another awful dream about them bugs. They was ugly.
Yeah, I saw one of the bugs too. Little grub-like thing with a bunch of legs. Is that what you saw?
Oh, it looked like a big fat maggot with just little bony legs. Skidding around. They all skidded. There's just a couple that got on me. I didn't see the rest of them, but the couple, they both went skittering off the same direction.
Which way did they go?
Well, and she describes the direction it went from her dress, and it matches the direction that the bug you saw come out of the body skittered off down that same alley.
Okay.
And off into the darkness.
Well, try to get some rest, Livvy. We'll be back, I promise. We're going to get you out of this.
All right. Hurry.
We will.
All right, well, let's go back to Reginald.
Well, what'd you get out of her then?
Well, she says that he was talking a little bit of that crazy talk, said he made a bargain, had been to other worlds and other dimensions and other places and was going back without her, and she was upset by that because that they had a deal where he was leaving his wife to go with her, and now suddenly he's going off into space to meet the man on the moon.
Notebook. He's been like kind of jotting things down, and when you get to like going off into space, he just throws it down on his desk. He's like, bugger me! I've already had to write fog up on the damn board. Now you want me to write dimensions in space?
Well,
getting a runaround from these Whitechapel East End folks. There's a line of bullshit to throw the coppers off, is what it is.
I don't know about that. I think he actually was probably talking about stuff like that. I don't believe she was trying to get one over on us. So I believe that she interpreted whatever he said as that. She may have changed a few words here and there, but I believe that she heard that. And she also mentioned that there were some little bugs, the same kind of little bugs that Rosalie said she saw around the scene of the body. Looked like a little maggot with bony little legs, she said. Skittering off into the same alley that Rosalie said she saw them. So I believe me and Rosalie are going to go check that out. If you don't mind, could you make sure that Miss Livvy is comfortable here? I don't believe she had anything to do with it. Take care of her until we can get it all figured out, just in case, on the off chance that...
she's going to be taken care of, because until I've got a better suspect, and even her right here is suspect number one.
I understand that. Just make sure she's got a decent bed, not the bundle of sparse hay that you give most folks. Get her a decent cot and a nice blanket, and make sure she's taken care of. If nothing else, just as a favor to me.
All right.
So,
Want to head to that alley and see what's going on there?
let's do that.
As you're walking out, you see the bundled in a shawl body of Wendy Blanton coming in through the door with a police officer. And she cuts her eyes over at you, and a look of pure hatred comes over. She doesn't say anything, though. You get the feeling she now knows that her husband is dead and has been brought in for some additional questioning, or maybe to identify the body or something.
I am going to fish out of my wallet 10 pounds and walk over and try to hand it to her. I'm going to say, I know it's hard times. I wish I could have told you there, but legally it wasn't my place. Use this and make sure the kids get fed, at least for this week.
She snatches it out of your hands and looks at you and says, I wish I was well off enough to tell you to keep your damn guilt money. And she turns and leaves.
Yikes.
All right, we're going to walk out, and as soon as that door shuts, I'm going to turn to Rosalie and say, quick detour. While Wendy's here, I think we should go back to Thomas's house and see if he has any of these traveling papers to the other dimension and other spaces.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that.
And then we'll head on to the alley.
Certainly.
The alley's not going anywhere, but if she comes home, I don't want to meet her in her house.
Hopefully her kids weren't just left there.
Did she have her kids with her?
She did not.
She did not.
She did not.
They were like a toddler and a baby, so it's unlikely. She probably left him with a neighbor, but we'll find out, I suppose. So hope not.
So let's go to the Blanton house.
All right. You're there.
Peek in the window.
Appears empty.
Listen at a window and then at a door.
You hear nothing.
Okay. Is the door locked?
Yes.
I am going to pull out a pen, my usual detectiving, lock-picking stuff, and attempt to pick the lock.
Do it.
Do it. Roll it. No.
I'm going to push the roll because I rolled a 70 and the other one's cocked anyway, but 70 was a fail.
Okay, so what are you doing different or in addition to justify the push.
I am going to grab a third pin and try to, after realizing it's one of the newfangled locks, and try to hit the extra pin that I know is inside of it.
Okay. Failure on the push roll could either mean breakage of your one or more of your lockpick tools, or discovery from a neighbor.
Okay.
That doesn't look hopeful.
That's a 97.
That's a discovery from a neighbor. So as you were working on it, you know, it was a very thin section of these brownstone tenement houses. And you remember you walk in a front door to kind of a hallway, and then the door to their apartment was immediately there inside that hallway. At the end of the hallway was a set of stairs leading up to an upstairs apartment. As you are down there working on the lock, a lady comes down the stairs and, "Hey, what are we doing here? Get away from that!"
I'm going to look up startled and say, hey, miss, it's all right. I'm here on police business investigating. You know, this was the missing man. We're just investigating that case.
She starts screaming, "Help, help, police. We've got a burglar here."
I'm going to pull out my badge and show to her from the agency.
Your agency badge. All right, so I guess we're going to have... Give me a tomfoolery roll.
Tomfoolery.
Fast talk. Or... That's a good one for trying to... I guess it's not so much an intimidate the way you can play it. Intimidate or fast talk.
What is her reaction when I pull out the badge? Does she seem fazed at all by it?
How about instead of you making a roll, she'll make a spot hidden roll to see if she can tell that that's a Metropolitan Police badge or something else.
Okay.
She rolled a 99. That is exactly what every police badge ever looked like to her.
100%.
Well, I'm sorry, officer. Was that, was that you wearing the blue coat and the copper buttons? I was taken aback, I was.
It's Casual Tuesday.
Well, I'm sorry to have disturbed you, but we are here on official business, and if you don't mind, could you go on about your way or go back to where you came from? Because...
Well, I don't want to get involved with your business, and I don't want to be in any way taken for obstructing justice in any way. But I was really just coming down here, and she pulls out a set of keys, to get the little one's toy.
That's great, because actually we were about to go in as well. So if you'll just open the door and get what you need.
The door. She walks in. She grabs a little rag doll, no face on it. It's just the basic outline of
a human form.
Raggedy eyeless.
Raggedy faceless. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, after she leaves, I am going to head to what I would perceive to be the bedroom of Thomas and Wendy. And I am going to open dresser drawers. I'm going to lift up mattresses. Just basically...
Looks like a very well lived in place, right? There are some clothes on the floor or whatnot, but you make me a spot hidden roll. Because I know what it's called in this stuff.
Yeah.
Make me look around and see if you see anything roll.
Well, I rolled a 15 against a 60, so that's a hard success.
What you notice is that the clothes on the floor are all women's clothing. There's no men's clothing on the floor. There is some men's clothing in like dresser drawers or closet if they have one. Maybe it's just a little wardrobe or whatever. I mean, there's some men's clothing folded up or hanging up, but none just strewn about the place like you see the women's clothing.
I'm going to take a closer look at a couple pieces of it. Are they roughly the same size?
No, they look like they would fit Wendy Blanton.
Okay.
And you're probably able to deduce from that he hasn't been there just throwing his clothes around for some time.
So that's all I'm seeing in all. I'm not seeing like a book or...
No.
No.
In fact, you probably wouldn't find... If you found a book in the whole place, it'd be a very tattered Bible. Like a family Bible or something. Other than that, you don't see anything that suggests reading.
Do you want to look like under the bed or see if we can find like a creaky floorboard where people would like stash something?
Sure, yeah. Let's look around under the bed. Things that I would know as an investigator to be hiding places.
Okay. So both of you give me spot hidden rolls, and investigator, you can use a bonus dice for your skill in that area.
I rolled a 6, which is an extreme success.
I rolled a 20 and a 90, which the 20 is a hard success.
Okay. So essentially this is a one-bedroom flat, right? There's a place in there where the kids are sleeping in a crib or something, and a small living area, a very small kitchen area. And you put all of your skills to use here, and it just looks like a really poor person's hovel. Whatever the knowledge he gained, he didn't have anything of it here 4 weeks ago when he stopped being in this place. Okay. You could surmise.
Well, I think we've turned this over pretty well, so...
All right, yeah, let's head to the alley.
Okay. All right, so back to the scene of the... I can't even say crime. We haven't even established that it's a crime, but the scene of the death. Right there where the body was at, a few feet away, is a small alleyway that cuts between row houses.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of goes off a ways. It's really dark back there. Like the eaves of the row houses are almost touching each other over this alleyway. It was really thin alleyway. You probably couldn't even get a horse and cart back through there, but you could walk back through there.
Lead the way, miss.
Certainly. Oh my. Okay. So I'm going to walk through the alley and look for, obviously the bugs, but look for any, like, having lived in Whitechapel, the telltale signs of bugs. You know, like bits of shredded paper, droppings, that kind of things. Things that I would inherently know about living in a slummy type area.
I have some points in track if that might help us here.
If you have to run. I say that because the very first time I made a character, I saw that track. I think, oh yeah, I'm gonna make my guy fast because I really thought
or he could do the shot put.
Right, it could be. Just get us any of those things. So as you go down this alleyway, you don't see any bugs. You don't see any evidence of the bugs. There are occasionally like little windows along the way, presumably for the living quarters that are in these like row houses. And you kind of notice, like, you know, right outside each window, not the best. It looks like the windows are used for like just dumping some stuff out of. So it doesn't smell real nice back in here. As you go back there, a lady pops her head out and looks at the two of you and looks at Joe and says, "Oh, you're one of them Torino toughs, ain't you?
Yes, ma'am, I
Come
am.
looking for that naked man what will run out of here, ain't you?"
The naked man.
Right. Sure. Last night, after all that hubbub out there on the street, out walks the strangest naked man I've ever seen.
Yeah, we are definitely here looking for that naked man. Can you tell us which way he went?
Well, he went right down the way you came in and then disappeared off into the fog. Strangest face I've ever seen. Not a lick of hair on it. No eyebrows. No 5 o'clock shadow. Not the first stubble upon his head. In fact, from what I could see, there wasn't any hair on his whole body.
Oh, my.
Virtually wrinkle-free was.
So he came from in the alley and ran out into the street.
Right. I say run because that's what you'd figure a naked man be doing, but it was more of a fast walk. Didn't seem too worried about things.
How soon after all the hubbub did this happen?
Well, I remember hearing the car of the lamplighters passing by, telling Gerald again they would never light the lamps on this road, will they? And it was soon after that he went just strolling his naked arse right out of there.
Seen anything else weird in this area?
Well, I don't know how much weirder you can get than a completely hairless man, naked as the day he was born, with skin as smooth as the day he was born, walking out of here.
You're probably right, ma'am. Sorry to have bothered you.
Thank you for your time. If we have more questions, we'll be sure to come back by. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to keep walking down the alley.
It's the alley, and it kind of dead ends.
Can we look for...
There's, again, windows all along. It might be, just like a alley to toss trash and shit.
Shit.
Mm.
I want to look for...
Probably not even planned. Just a building was built, another building was built. Holy shit, why didn't we just meet these two up? And there's this 4-foot wide gap in between us.
Today, there's probably actually a building that got built in that 4-foot wide gap.
Right.
Everybody just got one closet added.
It's where they park the bus at Harry Potter.
Yeah. So at the end of the alley, I'd like to look for signs of abnormal, things that stand out from the regular refuge that I'm going to see on the ground. Either clothing or other substances that may not necessarily jive with what I expect to be looking at on the ground.
You see absolutely no clothing.
Okay.
And you just see filth on the ground, which you would expect back here because you know what a lot of people are tossing out those windows.
I do.
I'm going to look up because these bugs are said to have spider legs.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah, you don't see anything.
Okay. And it just dead ends into the back of another set of row houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've found about all we can here. And to be honest, my stomach's beginning to turn from the smell. So if we could just evacuate this alley, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, before somebody else evacuates and we get tossed out of the window.
So we'll head back down to the street. So a naked man,
Hairless.
wrinkleless, comes running out of this alley shortly after we see all those bugs come down this alley. and comes out and goes somewhere out here. Do we see any other, like, unlit alleys or, like, similar little places you could tuck into, like, across the street or in the general vicinity?
There's probably several of the same situation throughout this road where two buildings got built very close together, but not abutting and not leaving enough room to actually make a road through there. Just rampant city sprawl by capitalism.
I am at a loss, honestly.
Why don't we take a trip up to the Hall of Records and just do a little research on the dudes? See what we can find out.
Yeah. We could also check in with any of their family members that might still be around. I feel like there might be something common to the men that are going missing. They're all men, lower income workers, blue collar workers, and I feel like there's something there.
Could be.
As you guys come out of this alley and into the road right there at the location where it is, as you come out, you see about 3 street urchins, right? And there's a small girl, probably 8 or 9, and 2 boys who obviously are twins. And she said, "See, right here is where the body was. I saw it plain as day, and you just don't believe me because you never want to believe anything I say. You're like, little liar. Well, little ain't lying. This time he was right." And then they look up and see you, and they go running down the street towards south. Why do I keep saying that? Whitechapel Road. And they go running down the road after they see you. And that's where we'll stop for the night.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm Steve. That's Emily. That's John. We are Percentile Vice. This has been Whitechapel Dark Mist. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.